Morramai, how are you? And Morramai to Phil Gawne.
Morramai, Kistow.
Oh, Tammy Brow, good am
As Crenach van Cricket, how was the cricket?
Very good.
Because you were away, was it last week you were away watching
Last
cricket?
weekend I was away, England, Australia in the one day. She was a bit of a dodgy weather the first, because we'd planned the trip to go over on the Friday to Bristol, and then stayed in Newport, went to Cardiff where the match was early on the Saturday morning, and the weather wasn't good, it was cloudy. I thought, well, and then it started to rain and they went off, and then there was a mighty downpour. I thought, this is going to be the whole day, and it'll be lost because they won't be going to be playing the next day. But it was a good game, went on till the end, just a few overs left before England got the score. So
yes, they seem to have learned how to win lately, which is quite strange for the England cricket side.
I'm not a big supporter. I'm not a big supporter of England in cricket, to be fair. Only stemming back from it's a funny thing with the Manx, isn't it? It must be this Celtic roots. But I think it stemmed back from when I was a kid. We used to play cricket out in our fields with my brother and Robin Neal. Robert the Rug from Peel, yeah, and they always used to play, and of course he was always England. I think it must have been the younger days when Boycott and all were playing, and he would go. We used to write them down. Who was opening the batting, Boycott, and whoever was playing for England in them days. And my brother was always Australia. So I had to have Farouk Engineer. I'd have the Indians or the West Indies and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's kind of there's an identity thing going on here too with some Manx people. I mean, some Manx people are quite happy to support England and don't see the problem, and don't worry too much about all these English flags of St George flying all over the place. And yet other Manx people, possibly it's about identity, that feel their identity is being threatened by this mass invasion of, obviously you're going to support England, aren't you? You go into any of the local shops and they're all selling England supporting flags, even in the tournaments where Scotland, Wales and Ireland may have been an option. So it's an interesting thing. I'm sure that some sort of social anthropologist could spend years studying the whole identity thing surrounding which team you support. But that's probably a little bit too deep for a Sunday morning, I don't know.
Possibly. But it is a strange thing, but there you go. If you want to join in on Morra Jedoonee this morning, all you need to do is send a text in to 166177. You can send an email to MJ, that's Mother Juliet, at maxradio.com or studio@maxradio.com is the lines in here this morning. Phil is with us till 12, and we've got some interesting conversations to talk about. 10. What happened last week then, Phil? Is Sarah looking after you?
Yes, we just about managed, I think. But interestingly, we had a couple of responses to the programme. Unfortunately, ran out of time to deal with them all. But one was from Peter Kelly asking whether...
When is Kelly's Eye coming back?
Well, yes, absolutely. Why is Kelly's Eye not being featured in the 50 years of public broadcasting?
Oh, I doubt it will.
I'm sure that there's many fans that would love that to happen. But no, Peter was basically asking whether, whilst I was sitting here twiddling my thumbs, I could translate Great Union Camera Obscura for him, because obviously Peter, for those who don't know, is involved in the Isle of Man Victorian Society, and indeed the Great Union Camera Obscura is probably open at some point during the day. No doubt someone will ring in to let us know when.
11 till 4.
11 till 4, marvellous. But the Great Union Camera Obscura... a little bit about the history here. Camera obscuras became popular in the Victorian times using a technology long understood. A single lens and mirror in a revolving turret above a darkened room projects a picture on the surrounding area. The first camera on this site was opened in 1887, then burned down within the same year. The present Great Union Camera Obscura, located on Douglas Head, was opened in the 1890s and is one of only a few left open in the British Isles. The camera started out with 12 lenses for viewing the surrounding area, but was reduced to 11 in order to better filter visitors through the building. Built by Mr. Fielding, the site changed owners shortly after, owned by the Heaton family from 1907 until 1990s. The site was then acquired by the Isle of Man government for the preservation of Manx history. The camera was originally used to spy on other tourists at the bathing baths.
Sounds dodgy.
or cuddling on the headland, a popular form of fun and entertainment in its age. I suppose we've got the internet for that sort of thing now. But anyway, cutting a long story short, I was actually asked to give a translation. So I spoke to my good friend Chris Sheard, who does official translations through Culture Vannon and the what do they call them? Cúnsail na Gaeilge, the Manx Gaelic Council, which basically it's a voluntary body set up to provide official translations. So Chris replied to my email, Odakshin gemada an edalish hin, matad onsiernish as Gilg na Halba, na shema garaga to regedan ons faklea a charaga. So we could use the Italian itself, which is camera obscura, or as they have done in Irish or Scottish Gaelic, or shema garaga, the dark room, which is what Dougie Farragher translated it as. So Shema Garacha would be the dark room. Camera obscura is effectively a Latin construct anyway, so it's not really English as such, because often people say, well, what's the Manx for such and such, and what's the Manx for television is a popular one, wasn't it? I think that's a mix of Latin and Greek. So what's the English for television? We could reasonably reply. But anyway, so camera obscura or shema garaga would be a good word. We're not entirely sure what the Great or Grand Union part actually deals with. So union in Manx is either Shesha Keadi, which is a trades society, so that would be like a trade union, and then Anenus is a normal, another union, like European Union would be Anenus Orpach, the European Union. So what I probably need is Peter to come back and tell us a little bit more about what the Great Union refers to before we can complete the translation. But for now, we've gone with Shema Garaga Kion Rulish, which is the dark room of Douglas Head. So that's a translation. But if Peter wants to tell us what Grand Union or Great Union specifically refers to, then we might be able to give him that in Manx too. So
we might be able to get him in on the programme.
Well, you never know.
Plenty of our little places that he'd be willing to talk about around the island. He gives us a bit of history of them. Good, thanks, Phil. Many of them seen on the Isle of Man. Not the yellow ones.
Not too many, no.
The odd one. So what have we got coming up on the programme? We've got a busy one because La Colm Cillier's coming up.
Yes, yeah, and interestingly, as a Manx speaker, I would say La Colm Cillier.
Yeah.
But all the people, and we've got a few people recorded that you'll be listening to on the programme, talk about La Colm Cillier. Now, at one point I was trying to resolve this in my head, and apparently in Irish there's two different ways of saying the word for day. There's la and lay. So one was a nominative case and the other was the dative case for those who are into their grammar. So at one point I was thinking maybe that's the reason why most of the old Manxies talk about the La Colm Cillier. And then I thought, no, it's probably just some sort of made-up thing that they mispronounced it. But anyway, yeah, that's an interesting theory which I've just debunked, which I had. But La Colm or La Colm, whichever you pick, it's happening on this Thursday. I think the parade starts, I think, at 2:45, and then the opening at 3:00 at the field in front of the school, in front of Arbury School. So yeah, we've got some interesting stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Noel Kringle in the second hour of the programme, who's been involved in it many times, and somebody you'll know fairly well, Ray Gawne.
Yes, captain of the parish, also me dad, but yeah, he's got some interesting memories too. And as well as that, and this is what we're going to listen to now, I think.
We'll do the weather first.
Weather, and then after that, we're going to listen to a conversation which is on Skeal and Vannon, which is the digitised recordings that were produced back in 1946 or 47 or 48, some time ago, 47 I think it was. So these recordings, Skeal and Vannon, or Stories of Man, they were produced in a lovely book with CDs by Manx National Heritage a few years back now. But there's a conversation there between John and Sage Convig, or the contractor, as John Convig was called, and Tommy Lease from Kerrikeel, and Ned Madrill, of course, at that time he was from Glenchas, an interesting conversation, because three of those voices are Arbury voices recorded 80 years before I recorded Noel and my father, who are also very strong Arbury voices. So it'd be just interesting perhaps to compare the two, just to see how the accents have changed over the years.
Okay, we'll do that shortly, but we'll do the weather in English and Manx for you first. Staying sunny today with light winds and becoming warm. Temperatures around 20 or 21. Fine and very warm tomorrow with light winds. The sunshine turning hazy late afternoon as the clouds move in a little, and the top temperature tomorrow of 22.
An emsha dew be an grian tanachtan dew leis geachan fes. Tempralis girigus feed nanas feed Celsius on chud smoo. An riet brouwers bla merach leis geachan fes och na sanmas an jasta na ernasta beg be an green began follet cool bodgelan erde vis chitrish. Tempralis smoo mush 3 as feed Celsius.
Thank you, Phil. Let's have the duty chemist rota for today, Sunday the 24th of June. Douglas, as always, there's 2 to choose from. Lloyd's Pharmacy shop right on Victoria Road, which is open now until 2 o'clock. Or Boots the Chemist in Strand Street, Douglas, open now till 4:30 today. Port Erin, Port St Mary, Ballasalla and Castletown, or anywhere down the south of the Isle of Man. The nearest one to you will be Castle Pharmacy, 20 Bellew Street in Castletown, which is open today 12 midday till 1 p.m. In Peel and the West this week, it's Cowley Pharmacy, 8 to 10 Athol Place in Peel, also open midday till 1 p.m. And Ramsey in the North, it's Lloyd's Pharmacy, ShopRite Bowring Road, open now until 2 o'clock.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
27 minutes before 11 o'clock. And, right, this track then, Phil, the voices will be...
Yeah, it's...
I better... Hang on. There we go.
Right, that's better. The voices will be a bit distant if you don't turn the microphone on. John and Sage Convig, or the contractor and Sage Convig from Ronagh, these were native speakers that were recorded. You've got Tommy Lease from Kerrikeel in Maloo, and Ned Madrill from Glenchas in Russian. And apologies for the quality of the recording, but this is a digitised version of a wax disc that was recorded by the Irish Folklore Commission about 80 years ago.
Do you remember any of the old customs?
Oh, I remember when they were going round singing the old carols, singing in Manx and singing in English some, and different things.
And on the quilters?
And on the quilters.
They didn't want a woman in for a quilter at all.
No.
They wanted a dark-haired man.
Yes, a dark-haired
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've been all night walking on the quilters myself.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Full up to the neck of one loaf.
Yes.
I didn't think much of it without they were given some spirits, though.
Oh,
to the
those
quilter.
spirits going too, but a person don't care to admit that.
No.
No.
No. Youngsters getting the spirits, they shouldn't have been getting them.
Yes, I should think so.
Yes. Well, then after that, there was Cailleach na Drumag. Did you ever hear of her?
Yes, I've heard of that too.
I have too, but I don't know whether there's very much in it or not.
Well, if
Well,
they
what
got,
is that? What is the tradition behind that?
if they got the sticks dry, What was that?
It'd be a wet spring.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Yes.
Got the sticks wet.
Well,
It'd be a dry spring.
a dry spring.
Yeah.
That's how the story goes, anyway. Well, then after that came the 12th of May, or at least the 11th, the night of the 11th
Yes,
of May.
night of the 11th.
What was the customs around here at that time?
Burning gas for one thing.
Burning the witches as
Burning
well.
the witches and
Yes, before the 12th.
before the 12th.
Before the 12 o'clock.
I
Yes.
see. Well, around my part, we gathered the mayflowers from the meadows and threw them at the threshold of the door, and went and cut twigs from the corn tree and made crosses and hung them behind the door, tied them with sewn thread, and hung them behind the door to keep the witches and the fairies away.
And they were making crosses and tying them to each of the cow's tails.
Well, I
In the
haven't seen.
colours.
I never seen that. I've never
Well,
heard of that.
I've
but
seen
of
it
course,
done.
I was never fortunate enough to
I've
be
seen the mayflowers at the
belonging to a
cowhouse
farming
door
family.
too.
Yeah.
Well, after that, what was the next
Midsummer Fair.
Midsummer Fair? Well, of course, the Midsummer Fair, I can't remember very much of that.
Yeah. So big,
Was there anything special about at that time?
well,
Everybody you could
everybody
walk
was
through.
going. They were walking maybe from Craignash over to the fair.
Yes.
I remember Port St. Mary fishermen
Yes.
travelling from Cookrice, rushing over the mountains, the top of the mountains, over by Tom Dippers, and away out to the Round Table, and down Yon Needle, and down to St. John's.
Oh, do you
To go
mean?
to fight about the tax, the
Oh, that's
rate.
I see. I've heard about that.
I
Oh,
seen
that
them.
was that you call the Midsummer Fair, then that what we call Tinwell
Oh,
Fair.
Tinwell Fair, yes,
see.
Tinwell Fair.
Oh yes, that's the
Oh, well,
time
I-
they put the fair in the governor when the fishermen all mustered up and came in a body when he sent someone out to meet them and told them that their request would be granted.
Yeah, I suppose it was.
Yeah.
They're going to put Harbour Juice in Port St. Mary and put Erin.
I believe so.
Well, I seen them fellas go on because I was in Harry Strain that time.
Yes, I remember that too.
And I was tending turnips up at the mountain hedge, a field up there, and I saw them travelling away over.
Margin in a body.
Imagine.
There you go. That was 80 years ago, Phil, on a wax disc originally.
And certainly for me, I knew fascinating listening to them. And you beware, members of Tynwald, that Midsummer Fair, because of course with this change, the 11-day change in the calendar, the Manxies would sort of stick to the original date, which was the 5th of July. But actually, is it 11 days? No, I don't quite know how they worked it. But anyway, Midsummer's Fair, or Midsummer Fair, as they were calling it, was around about Midsummer's Day. That was when Tynwald Day originally was, and then it got shifted because of changes in the calendar several hundred years ago. But the Manxies were sticking with Tynwald Fair, and Midsummer Fair is the same thing. Yeah, woe betide any Tynwald members that upset the fishermen, because the fishermen were all mustering and walking from Kirkchrist, rushing all the way over the tops to Tynwald Fair, or the Midsummer Fair, to have a go at the Tynwald members.
The redress of grievance.
Yes.
And so who were the voices there?
So apologies. So you've got the contractor. He was the fellow who was sort of mumbling on in the background. That's John Convig. There was Sage Convig. Then Tommy Lease. So both of those were from Ronnig. And then Tommy Lease from Kerrakeel, which is in Maloo, and Ned Madrill, who was sort of leading the conversation. He's obviously the last native speaker from Craignash.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phil. Seems a bit hectic this morning, Phil, doesn't it?
Yes, plenty going on.
It is. It's 16 minutes. No, it's not. Let me count now.
17.
1, 2, yeah, it is 16.
16,
Yeah, I was
coming up
right.
to 16.
I thought I was doubting myself then for a second. Right, we've got some news on the Columcille very shortly indeed. But a piece of music you want to play first, a Manx one?
Yes, this was the final CD that Skeel produced, and we were messing around a bit, and there was some fantastic acoustics in the shed, Mark Cleater's shed, that was where we did the shed. Sounds very small. It was a big, grand.
I can see Mark cringing now with this £1 million
It was
of
a
worth of
rather
equipment.
a large agricultural shed in which his recording studio was, but we were singing outside of the recording studio in this big shed, and we liked the sound of the acoustics, so we just made this up, or made up the arrangement. So it's Padja Columcille, which ties in quite nicely with what we're going to be talking about for much of the rest of the programme.
Well, the law column is on Thursday, the 28th of June, and His Excellency the Lieutenant Governor is opening it. The Moghrey School take a big part in the dancing and exhibition that they have a tent with all their school children's writing, and then there's a ceilidh at night time, but I think that's on the Friday night. So the law column is more or less connected to the church, because it's the St. Columba. And that's, excuse me, and that's their link to the law column. They have the annual fair that they have. There's always a good feed for people that comes along. All usually more or less home baked.
So what's your favourite in the tea tent?
Just meeting people, really. I'm not a big. I haven't got many favourite things to eat, so it's nice to meet people every year in the tea tent, and that's the very place to meet them.
And the opening ceremony, what time does that actually take place?
3 o'clock at the field opposite the school.
And there's usually a band there too, is there?
Yes, Castledown Band, coming again. They'll be marching from the village hall to the school, to the field, with the princess and the attendants, and that's about it.
And on that thing about the princess and the attendants, you might be able to tell us something about several years ago now, probably several decades ago, about horse and trap, bringing people to the Lough Column field.
Well, I don't know about the trap, but there was horses always, well, a horse and cart. I can remember we had when we were living at Crotakelly, Father had the horse and cart because he was always on the committee of the Lough Column, and I think he was one of the founder members, really. And we had our horse and cart anyhow to take it was the queen at that time, not a princess, so but that's going back a few years.
Well, yes. Ray Gawne, Phil, talking about La Columcille, the dates, and of course what the traditions went back a few years ago. We'll be hearing more from him in the second hour of the programme. And before that, a piece of music. Was it called La Columcille?
It's Padja Columcille, or
right.
Columcille's prayer. And of course, the Columcille link that my dad captain of the parish was talking about there.
Of which parish?
It was it's actually Skira Cabri in Manx. Cabri was the saint, but it's the Church of Saint Columba. So Kiel or Colum Killia, it was Columba, and Killia is of the church. So Lel Colum Killia was the festival day of Colum Killia. So that's the link with the church. And going back over the centuries, there was a fair or some affair of some kind associated with the church, and this seemed to have been revitalised by Archdeacon Cooley and others about a century ago, more than a century ago now, isn't it? It's a great day out, which is probably, the Lough Column Killia Committee, if they're listening, will probably be saying, enough of all this old history and all that nonsense. Tell them about the pop and the tea and the cakes and the sports and all the exhibitions and various things that will be taking place, which obviously is why people want to go.
Well, we'll be talking about that in the second hour programme. We'll be hearing more from the captain of the parish, where Lough Colum Killia is, Ray Gawne, and also we'll be hearing Noel Kringle's memories, a long-standing supporter of Lough Colum Killia as well, all in the second hour of the programme. It is, though, 8 minutes to 11. Well, short and sweet and pretty good, really, for the time being. Staying sunny today with light winds and becoming warm. Temperatures up to 20 or 21 degrees at best today. The outlook fine and very warm tomorrow with light winds, but the sunshine turning hazy in the late afternoon and evening as high-level clouds move in. Top temperature tomorrow 22, that's away from the coasts, staying settled and quiet for the rest of the week with plenty of sunshine and becoming hot as temperatures during the week reach the mid-20s.
An emshichu, being Grian Tannachton Jew leis Geachan Fes, Tempralis Giri dus feed na Nanas feed Celsius on a good smoo, and Riet, Brow as Bla Merrick leis Geachan Fes, och na Samma Sanyasta, ni na nasta beg, being Grian Began Fallet cool Bodglan Erde, vis chit rish, Tempralis smoo mush Jesus feed Celsius, a sul vice list and the Mara. Being emsha shigar as cune son and shacht and a man, leis palcha the green as higga the vei fi vla na che, leis tempralis giri gus na feeden meenach a sul vain cheen, och cred and flia, where's the rain?
It's not a bad one, is it? Go say that one again.
Cred and flia, where's the rain?
I know, if it rains during next week, you're going to be in trouble, aren't you?
Spuds desperately needing rain for the spuds, I think. But yeah, I'm hoping that as we speak, there's a man with a finger mower trimming my hayfield in front of the house, which I'm going to make by hand. So anyone on Friday, probably about Friday-ish, who fancies coming to witness and take part in traditional haymaking up at Lamode, I'd be more than happy to see a few people turning up with pitchforks and rakes.
Well, we'll see what happens. 10 minutes past 11. Welcome to the second hour of Moghrey Jedoonee. It means Sunday morning in Manx language with Phil Gawne and myself, Simon Clarke, through till 12 today. And before, we're concentrating on Lough Colum Killia, aren't we? Which in Manx, the English of that is...
Gosh, what's the English for Lough Colum Killia or Lough Colum Killia, depending on where you come from? The Lough Colum Killia, the festival day of the Church of Columba.
Mm.
Yeah. And again, as we've been hearing, the festival or the summer fair, as they would call it, the summer fair would have taken place. Most of the churches, I think, around the island would have had their summer fairs associated with the churches, or fairs associated with the saints that were associated with the churches. So,
yeah, and you were talking to the captain of the parish of Arbery, is it?
Yes, just happens to be the old man, but yeah, he was reluctantly talking to me a bit about the Lough Colum, and I thought it would be interesting to hear a little bit about people's memories of the Lough Colum. Obviously, the Lough Colum, primarily to me, and most people from Arbery, is about meeting people you haven't seen for a few years, and just generally that whole community thing. It's a great little community event. Lovely tea and cakes, and meeting all sorts of people and having yarns and watching the sports. And yeah, it's a really good day out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have you continuing your conversation with Captain of the Arbury Parish, Ray Gawne, talking about a bit more of the history of it, and particularly the area itself.
Okay. So the fields that the Lough Column takes place in, I mean, we know it's in front of the school this year, but it's not always been the case, has it?
No, it used to be that there would be a field in Colby one year and a field at Ballabeg the next. And there's been various fields, I can't remember them all, but the last one we had was the old Colby football field. And that tended to be not quite big enough to run the whole show, and parking was a problem there, so we eventually went to Ballabeg as full time.
Okay, and as far as your involvement in the whole festival, how far can you remember back, and what are your memories of the Lough Column?
Well, it was when you were going to Arbury School, it was a favourite, one of the highlights of the year. And I can remember I was always great on running, so I was in the sports quite often and getting a few prizes now and again. Thing was, when you got your prize, it was usually a bit of money, you went straight to the ice cream man and parted with your money and got an ice cream. So that was the highlight. And then, of course, you had to have your writing. That was a big thing in the school. Everybody had to partake in that. And something I wasn't very keen on, but I did take part in it. And then when I left Arbury School, I still was involved with the Lough Column, and in those days then I was quite a good runner, so I was taking part in everything that was going, apart from the cycling, which that was a thing that I never managed to do. But I had quite a few friends in the cycling, and Mr. Cannon from Cronkovody was a great supporter for us, so I remember Donald well cycling.
And who did you used to run against, and was there a lot of sort of competitiveness?
I can't remember that. All I can remember is trying to win. So I think Mr. Kringle was one that was there at that time, like, so I don't know whether he was able to beat me or not, but it was always a good day, like.
I'm not sure we'll ever find out who won the running race, Phil, will we?
I just know it's competitive. There was a kind of a Gawne motto: it's not the taking part, it's the winning that counts. So that gives you a clue, I think, as to how we approach these things.
Did it continue as a family trait, winning the running races?
My brother was pretty good, but no, I long distance. I didn't mind going on cross country and things like that, but and latterly I have been going out for runs occasionally, just now and again.
Oh. Alongside Cretney?
Yeah, I'll take a notion and think, oh, I know what, I'll go and run up to the top of Cronknary Lay or something like this. And yeah, you kind of think afterwards, when you can't move your legs, that maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But yeah, not my best, my strongest suit is not running.
Fair enough then. Right, we'll be hearing more from Lecolum Killia as the morning goes on with Noel Kringle himself, who Ray mentioned. Got the What Song Guide coming up shortly, but have you got an interesting one on the parish walk?
Yeah, there was just something, again, Culture Vannon, who through the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee sponsor the programme. They've always got some very interesting stuff coming up on their Twitter feed or on Facebook. So if you're into that, or indeed if you want to look it up on their website, the Culture Vannon website, there's a piece here about the earliest record of a parish walk, which is from the 13th century, but it didn't go too well. We learn about Alswith's failed attempt from a Manx place name near St John's in J.J. Neen's Place Names of the Isle of Man. And the place name is Ochtach Brish Moghrey, the slope of my broken heart. So tradition says that Alswith undertook to walk round all the churches in the Isle of Man in one day. Alswith started off very early one fine summer morning, and he had almost accomplished his task. But evening overtook him as he approached St John's, and while going up the Starvey Road, he fell down exhausted. If he had reached Kirkmichael a few miles away, he would have finished his task. The hill was afterwards known as Ochtach Brish Moghrey, Break My Heart Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
And where's that one? Just coming up the Starvey?
Just somewhere
from the
up
poor town?
on the Starvey Road. It says leading over the Draine or Draine, I don't know, because again, with the great thing with place names is you're never entirely sure how to pronounce them. Is if this is a Manx word, it's spelled Driney, so it would be Draine or Draine. And if it's an English word, it'll be Draine, I suppose. But no doubt there'll be people from the Starvey throwing things at their radio sets as we speak, saying, of course, it should be pronounced such and such or so.
We don't profess to know everything, though, do
well,
we?
no.
A little bit later than planned, but let's give you an update on the weather forecast for the Isle of Man. Staying sunny today with light winds, becoming warm, temperatures 20 or 21. Let's hear it in Manx now with Phil Gawne.
Bla, che, grianach, yindasach, ten emsher, fi, vla, as che, as tempralis giri gus na feeden menach Jaron Shachten.
Oh well, all good ones them. Okay, absolutely. The duty chemist rota today, Sunday the 24th of June. In Douglas, there's a choice of two boots. The chemist in Strand Street, open till 4:30, or Lloyd's Pharmacy ShopRite in Victoria Road, which is open now until 2 o'clock. In the Peel and west of the Isle of Man, it's Cowley Pharmacy, 8 to 10 Athol Place in Peel, which is open midday till 1 p.m. In the south of the island, Castle Pharmacy, 20 Maloo Street in Castletown, also open midday till 1 p.m. And Ramsey in the north, it's Lloyd's Pharmacy ShopRite in Bowring Road, open now till 2 o'clock.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Well, we heard Ray Gawne, captain of Arbury Parish, Phil, talking about Lecolum Killia and his memories of it as well, going back a few years. It's happening this Thursday, isn't it? And, of course, another man who was involved in it, been involved in it, and still involved in it, Noel Kringle.
Yes, Noel was past president. I think he was president last year, but I think he stepped down this year. But Noel has always been involved all his life, as we'll hear. I hope listeners appreciate that I had to brave the Noel wildflower test. He's got this wonderful picture above the door on the kitchen, and there's about 20 Manx wildflowers. And I was only allowed the interview if I was able to answer a certain number of the wildflowers correctly. I got a not too bad, which I thought wasn't too bad. And I did get these interviews. So it's interesting to hear from Noel a little bit about the Lough Column itself from his point of view, and some memories.
Yeah, all right. Let's hear Phil's chat with Noel Kringle.
Okay, well, I'm here at the Friary talking to Noel Kringle, who has been associated with the Lough Column Killia pretty much all his life, if not all his life.
All my life.
Good.
All my life.
Excellent. So, childhood memories, really. That's what we're probably most interested in. What do you remember originally, or what's the first memories of the Lough Columcille?
Well, Columcille really comes to memories by Arbery School, I would imagine. Possibly I was there certainly at Columcille before I went to primary school, but from primary school on, of course, Arbery Primary School and Columcille are intertwined over a long period of time. And of course, we always had competitions for which we had to do, writing and various things. We had sports at Columcille for the school, which they still do. We used to dance for the opening, which they still do. Nothing really changes, and that's the joy, or one of the joys of Columcille, is the link with the parish school and the fact that we have a long, continuous history.
And what did you used to find the best chances of winning in? Were you the writing competitions, the baking competitions, running, cycling?
No, certainly not the baking competitions. Obviously, I don't. Although I have entered those, no, it's not a regular occurrence. But certainly, as far as sports goes, I was always very active, more active possibly than I was with pen in hand. But nevertheless, yes, I think most people would claim at some stage in life they've had a prize.
Yes, I'm afraid for me, the only time I ever won anything, I think, at the Lough Column was the first year at primary school when I won the handwriting prize.
Well,
but,
there you go, you see.
But there we are.
Well done, Phil. When growing up, when you leave primary school and you become teenagers, of course, running around the village, all the equipment for Columcille used to be stored in the vicar's loft, or the barn across from the vicarage, which belongs to the church, and it used to be stored there, and we used to go along as boys to help, in inverted commas, to unpack all the stuff out of the loft through the window and the gable end, probably in those days onto a Qualtro's cart, and take it to the field. And then, of course, great fun putting tents up, because as boys, of course, we would get underneath when the tent was spread out, and the tent would be pulled up above us, and that was wonderful. All those sort of things kids are still able to do today.
Yes, that was certainly my fondest memories of the Lough Column, was helping setting it up and taking it down again afterwards. It was always lots of fun.
Well, if anybody out there wants to help, please come along on the Monday of Columcille week. We will be starting to erect the field, so come on. Any dads who have children at Arbery Primary School, young men, the more that turn up to help, is the more they will enjoy Columcille as well.
And the field this year, it's the field in front of the school?
Yes, it's our school field, as we call it, but it's right slap in front of Arbery Primary School, yes. Good access, plenty of car parking on the field, no difficulty, in and out, so yes, come along.
And what would you say your favourite part of the Lough Column is?
My favourite part of well, there we go. I think the whole shebang, in effect. I enjoy it all. I certainly enjoy the social side of erection and putting away, as you've commented about. I certainly enjoy the whole social of the afternoon. It's a very pleasant afternoon. Yes, there is the formality of the opening, and His Excellency will be doing the official opening this year, and the children of Arbery School will be dancing in front of him. But the whole occasion around about that formality is well done and pleasantly done. And thereafter, of course, people have a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, to sit around in the sunshine or to go into the tea tent and enjoy the tea and just the social of the whole occasion. It is a wonderful parish affair.
There we go, Noel Kringle. Parts of the conversation that you had with him, Phil, about Columcille. We've got one more piece to go from that one.
Yes, it's great to hear from Noel, and of course, as A.D. Cowan, I think A.D. Cowan, the weatherman, also chairman. No, he's not chairman yet, is he? The member of Arbery Parish Commissioners, but also I think he's the chairman of the Lough Columcille Committee. He's asking anybody from the parish who's keen come along Monday night, Tuesday night, possibly even Wednesday night, to help them get all the tents up and the benches in the right places and all the rest of it. But they'll not be fighting against the weather this year, which is good.
Good stuff. Thank you. We've got one more piece to go with Phil talking to Noel. It's 20 to 12. King Keoli, the second of our Manx tracks on Moghrey Jedoonee this morning, and that one called 5 Hours Behind. All right, Le Column Killia is happening this Thursday. Phil was in conversation with Noel Kringle, a long-standing associate member of Le Column Killia, and let's have the final piece of the interview that Phil did with Noel.
One of the aspects of the La Column which I seem to recall was that I enjoyed was the Manx dancing. And we had, for 1 year, we had Leighton Stoll teaching us. And I
didn't think you were that old, Phil.
Well, only just. And there was myself and Richard Collister, who's now the Director of States for Education. I remember Richard being accused of dancing a little bit like Groucho Marx. Apologies, Richard, if you're listening. But did you ever do any of the Manx dancing?
Yes, we certainly took part with the Manx dancing group. And Leighton Stoll used to come from Ballasalla to, if you like, put a little bit of finesse on our dancing. But Richard Torr, Dickie Torr, followed by Arthur Crellin, were the headmasters of Arbury School. But the tradition of the dancing goes back, and of course the fancy dress parade and all that. It all takes part for many, many, many years and changes a little. But as far as this dancing, you want to know about the dancing, yes, Leighton Stoll used to come and put that final touch on our dances before the Columcille Day.
And it was Archdeacon Cooley was responsible originally for the setup, was he? Or what do you know of the history of the recent history? Obviously, there was a parish fair.
Going back to Archdeacon Cooley, hold on, Phil. I might have a few years over you, but I don't go back that far.
But you'll know about the history.
Oh, the history, as far as the history goes, yes. As I said, it's a parish fair, the oldest parish fair in the Premier Parish of the Isle of Man, and so that's good that it continues. And yes, you can go back to Archdeacon Cooley. You can go back over generations, and the history has been written. The late Annie Rooney wrote a very good history both on the school and on Columcille. So in fact you can, you're a research man, you can dig it all up.
Absolutely, and I look forward to doing that. Thank you very much.
There we are, Noel Kringle talking to yourself, Phil, about Le Columcille, and it all gets underway Thursday, isn't it?
Yes, Thursday. This Thursday coming, and there's the parade is at 2:45, and the actual official opening 3:00, and then a variety of activities throughout the day, including the famous tea tent and the sports, the exhibition tent, and just a really good opportunity for people from all over the island to get together and have a bit of a couche, a bit of a chat.
Yeah, and Arbury School. It's if they get to Arbury School, they won't be able to miss it, will they?
Absolutely, right outside Arbury School is where the field is. So yeah, it should be a good do.
Lovely, thank you for that. Nice to hear from Noel and also earlier in the programme, the captain of Arbury Parish as well, Raymond Gawne. It certainly is Manx Radio. It's Moghrey Jedoonee with Phil Gawne and myself, Simon Clarke. Nearly at the end of it. It is 7 minutes to 12 o'clock. And got an email, Phil, before you do your Manx
Yes,
song?
we last week we were talking about the Manx words that have gone into the Oxford English Dictionary, and there was a blog by Kelvin Corlett about this. So Kelvin obviously heard that we were interested and wrote back to me this week. So as because Sarah Hendy was on the programme with me, as Sarah asked how we chose or discovered the words, I thought you might also find it interesting if I elaborated a little on the composition of the range of words and how they were selected. In addition to those Manx words which are completely new to the dictionary, the update on Thursday also included newly revised definitions of some new senses for words which were already present. And the breakdown is something like 22 new definitions and 19 revised ones, all spread over 25 individual words. A fair few of the words have in fact been in the dictionary since the very first edition. Many of these, for example, Jeal, Jach and Cushig, Jeal being Jeal, I don't know what's the word for Jeal.
Mischief.
Evil, mischief. Jach is drink, and Cushig, of course, is Cushig's ragwort. They look to have been added to the dictionary on the basis of their appearance in the works of Hall Caine, which was so popular back then when the dictionary was first produced. As for the new definitions, these were added on the basis of personal knowledge, asking friends and family back home, and some research such as rummaging through things like the iMuseum's digital archive of newspapers with a copy of Moore's Anglo-Manx vocabulary in hand. In a lot of cases, it boiled down to seeing what words or meanings I knew were missing from the dictionary and whether I could find enough written evidence to warrant including them. That said, one word, keel, was in fact suggested to me by a non-Manx friend who'd recently heard it used on a television programme. I knew the word but had completely neglected to include it until he mentioned it. Keel, of course, is the word for a church. I should probably also say that there's a fair amount of Manx English words and senses currently in the dictionary which weren't included in the recent update. Some of these, like begain, pinjane, queltach and come over, were revised or added in previous updates, while there are yet others still waiting to be revised. So begain, of course, is a begain. What's the Manx English for a begain? I don't know. Pinjane is a sort of a yogurty drink. The queltach is the first foot. Anyway, before I stop prattling on, says Kelvin Corlett, I hope you don't mind me making one slight correction to what was said on the show. The Chris Thomas quotation didn't come from the Tynwald Hansards, but from an issue of An Pébésair. It appears in the transcript of the English oration from the 2017 Illiam Dawn commemoration. We chose that one because it was a good example of treadalua, time enough, being used as a noun rather than an adjectival sense or a simple phrase. So that was from Kelvin Corlett.
All right, well, we were going to have the part of your poem and song, Phil, but we're going to have to leave that for next week's programme.
Another time.
Well, I'm afraid so. Gurumaya, thank you very much indeed for your input on today's programme, as always. You can be back next week, won't you?
Yes, certainly. I'll be back next week, probably talking a little bit about Tynwald Day.